or peace be unto you. My name is Mustafa Khan. I am the Imam of a masjid or a mosque here in Naperville. Some of you may have heard about it. An Imam, I guess I should explain what that is. An Imam is similar to what a priest would be in a church. He's the spiritual leader of the mosque, the face of the mosque. So that's the role that I play here for this masjid, this mosque. A little bit about myself. I have been in this country for 9 years. Before that, I was in Pakistan, which is where I grew up. I was born in Lahore. I grew up in Lahore, and then I moved to Karachi to study engineering. I was going to NED University in Karachi, which is the premier engineering school in Pakistan. So that's what I was studying to become. But while I was there, I began to dabble in the study of my faith, my Muslim faith, Islam. And I found that to be much more spiritually fulfilling, or fulfilling in general. So that became my career calling, in fact. So I became an imam. There was much resistance in the family. They expected me to be an engineer like my brothers and my father, my grandfather. So I did complete my engineering as well, but my schooling as an imam was completed as well. Like I said, I've been here for 9 years. I came here after 9/11. I've lived in this community ever since. I live here with my wife, Aisha, who's the strongest woman I know. Very, very, yes, she's, she is a wonderful woman. And she's a pharmacist in the area, so some of you may have met her already. And we have two wonderful children. Isa, who is my son, he's 6 years old, and he is the prince of the house. And he knows it, he's always bossing us around. And then my daughter, Maryam, is 4, and she is just all sunshine, like daughters are. And that's my family. That's who I am. They are the ones who wake me up every morning, and they're the reason that I do everything that I do. So I hope to get to know more about you as well, and you'll learn more about me as we continue this dialogue. But it is very nice to meet you in this initial conversation. Assalamu alaikum. So what does it mean to be an American? Well, for me, I'm a new American. I'm a naturalized American citizen. I wasn't born here. I'm an American by choice. And I choose to be an American because as a Muslim, I'm able to build a home here truer to Islam than I could anywhere else. I was, as you know, raised in Pakistan. And Pakistan, like many Muslim countries, has many Muslims. But there's not a lot of Islam there. Whereas here, where the numbers of Muslims are few, there's a tremendous amount of Islam. I don't know if you find that confusing, but you shouldn't. And the reason for that is because, or at least for me, Islam is found in your institutions and in your way of life. I find Islam in the Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, and the idea that everybody has inalienable rights and that people have the right to pursue happiness. And Islam at its best was about those very things. It was about freedom of expression and freedom of religion and tolerance and freedom of speech. And it was also about the importance of knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge and science and art and all those things. Those things have been forgotten in much of the Muslim world, but they exist here. And so for that reason, I'm very much at home here as a Muslim. And it's very comforting for me to be able to call myself American because I believe that is my true nature as a Muslim. The ideals that we have as Americans are the same ideals that I have as a Muslim. And people ask me, they ask all Muslims to choose between, to identify yourself. Are you Muslim first or are you American first? I tell them, as a Muslim, I feel blessed that I'm allowed to be an American. Because in much of the Muslim world, we don't have things that you have, things that we perhaps take for granted here about the accountability of our governing officials, about transparency of government. All those things don't exist in much of the Muslim world right now, but they exist here. So that is what makes me proud to be an American. And yes, this is a predominantly Christian country. And we named our kids Isa and Maryam for a reason. Isa is the Arabic word for Jesus. And Maryam is the Arabic word for Mary. Because Jesus in Islam is one of the most revered prophets, one of the most beloved prophets. And Mary, the mother of Jesus, is the only woman named in our holy text in the Quran. She is placed high in our faith. And so for me and my family, and for I think all Muslims or most Muslims, being an American is the same as being Muslim. They're one and the same for us. Family drama. Well, you know, the first time that I met Aisha, we were both at the same masjid. We were at the same mosque. We were there for Friday prayers. And the Imam at the mosque, in his sermon, he said something that I found really offensive. I don't even want to repeat it. It was quite sexist, in fact. But so I got up and I said something to him, right in the middle of the sermon. And it's not something you do. You do not stop an Imam in the middle of the sermon. It's considered very, very rude. But what he said was rude. So something had to be said. And Aisha was offended too, apparently, and she heard me say something, you know, and so she likes to tell people that I knew she was in the masjid and I said something to impress her, and yes, I did know she was in the masjid, but whether I did to impress her or not, who knows? But, you know, she saw something heroic in me that day. These days, when we're dealing with all the stuff that's happening with our mosque, it's taken a toll on me. There's a lot of things a lot of people that I have to answer to. You know, I'm being pulled in a lot of different directions, and it's taken a toll at home too, because Aisha feels that I'm not being aggressive enough, that I should be angrier. But I'm not angry. I'm frustrated and upset, and but she's disappointed in me. But you know, Aisha, I'm still the same person that, you know, was in that masjid. I'm still that same guy. I still have that same passion. I just am you know, responsible for something greater now. I'm responsible for not only our family, but I'm responsible for this entire community, this Muslim community, and I speak on behalf of the mosque. So I have to be careful as to because if I just got angry, if I just got frustrated, what good would that do? You know, and you say all these things, you know, I'm not a sellout, and I'm not a traitor, and all these things that you say in front of our kids. And Isa and Mariam have never heard us fight before this, and now every day we're at each other's. Oh gosh, I just need you to believe in me and understand me like you always have. I need you to stand by me, because this is too hard to do alone. So you've heard about this masjid expansion, the mosque expansion project that we're having. Logistically, we've just run out of space at our old masjid, so we needed new space. So we are building a bigger mosque to house our now growing congregation. And in that pursuit, we've made the applications to the county and all that sort of stuff. And we've run into a great deal of resistance in the form of concerns about water drainage and zoning issues and parking congestion and all these things. And I believe that maybe those aren't the real issues. The way that people talk at these town hall meetings makes me think that's just a smokescreen. It's an unfortunate reality, but that's what I believe. And I think, well, let me put it this way. If all I knew about Islam was what we saw on 9/11, if all I knew about Islam was what we see on the news about how men treat women in, you know, other parts of the world and all those kinds of things, then yes, I would be seriously concerned about who is living amongst us. But we are not talking about those people. We are talking about your friends and neighbors. We are talking about the children that your children play with. We are talking about people who have lived here for decades. That's who we're talking about. So if you have questions, if you have concerns about who is living amongst you, just knock on your neighbor's door and ask the question. Or I'm available to you. I will come to your churches, I'll come to your schools, I'll come to your synagogue. Wherever you want me to go, I will go to answer your questions. Because maybe we haven't answered the questions that you have. And so I'm available to you for that. And for those of you who have already decided who we are and have no interest in dialogue, let me remind you that we are tax-paying American citizens. This is our home too, and we have a right to build our place of worship here.